please. Welcome. Fight for Life Week is starting now, and it's time to get excited. Kay's gonna start us off.
Hi guys, so in this assembly we're going to tell you about how you can be one of the million. We would love for you guys to get involved in all of our events in the upcoming week and in the next few months.
Hey, and also, this is a special week. You know, there's so much more this week than to not go all in. You know, and dress up. You know, if it's a day to wear red, go all out. You know, don't be too prideful to do this, because it means a lot to these patients, and there's just so much more to this, and let your pride not go all in for this.
So to start out, we do have Coin Wars starting on Monday, and it goes through Friday. That's with your first hour class. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring in all of your change. Some people even do checks, things like that, and you're just going to donate it in the jars, and then any class that gets over $500 will get cookies. Second place class gets donuts, and the first place class gets a breakfast party. And I encourage you guys to really bring all that you can, because for a few years it's been the same teachers. So freshmen get involved all the way through seniors. We can raise as much. Last year we did over $17,000, and it would be awesome if we could get even over that.
Here arriving with his family. Years ago, Danny vowed he'd build a hospital if he ever became famous. $32,000 are subscribed. The first of $1 million, Danny Thomas tells friends he'll raise for the St. Jude's Hospital of his dreams.
They said it couldn't be done. They said that it was a task which would break my heart. They said it was impossible. At this very moment, as I speak to you, in the city of Memphis, Tennessee, there is being constructed a hospital on a star. There it is, in concrete, glass, and steel, to offer help to all the children in the world, regardless of race, creed, or economic status. You and I have vowed that we will do everything in our power, spiritually, physically, mentally, and financially, to bring about the defeat of these catastrophic diseases.
We're going to begin with leukemia, and by God's grace, after defeating it, go on to other diseases.
Tiny building has led the world in advancements in pediatric science and clinical care, and now it's going to rise up. We will bring it to the fore through an organization called ALSAC. If I were to die tomorrow, I now know why I was born.
while we're sitting here making this video, there's a family that's walking through the front doors on a Friday afternoon, and they're at St. Jude. When we came to St. Jude, I asked the doctor, "Can you treat my child?" And he said, "No, we're going to cure him."
Next week, Monday through Friday, we will have a bake sale, so bring money for that. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we will have Uncle Bob's ice cream, so bring $2 for that and enjoy.
Try a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you.
I'm hanging on by a thread, and all I'm clinging to is prayers. And every breath is like a battle. I feel like I ain't come prepared. And death's knocking on the front door. Pain's creeping through the back. Fears crawling through the windows, waiting for them to attack. They say don't get better, get better. I'm working on switching them letters. But tell God I'ma need a whole lot of hope, keeping it together. I'm smiling in everyone's face. I'm crying whenever they need a rope. They don't know the battle I face. They don't understand what I'm going through. The world trying to play with my soul. I'm just trying to find where to go. I'm trying to remember the way. I'm trying to get back to my home. But I can't do this on my own. That's why I'm just trusting in you. Cause I don't know where else to go. And I don't know where else to go.
Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you.
They say fear haunts and pain hates. I say pain strengthens and fear drives faith. And I don't know all of the outcomes. Don't know what happens tomorrow. But when that ocean of doubt comes, don't let me drown in my sorrow. And don't let me stay at the bottom. I feel like this hole is too deep to climb. I've been looking for a way out, but I'll settle for a peace of mind. Picking up the pieces of my life and hoping that I put together something right. Tell me all I got is all I need. Tell me you gon' help me stay and fight. No, I'm trying to play with my soul. I'm just trying to find where to go. I'm trying to remember the way. I'm trying to get back to my home. But I can't do this on my own. That's why I'm just trusting in you. Cause I don't know where else to go. And I don't know what else to do.
Don't let the fear make you feel like you can't fight this on your own. You know I'll be there for you no matter where you go. You'll never be alone. No, just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. Just fight a little longer, my friend.
announce the dress-up days for next week, and I have some models that are going to help me out. So on Monday, we're going to wear maroon or red for St. Jude. And when you're ready, how are you going to the AP office and get a locker ribbon to put on your locker? And then on Tuesday, we're going to wear gray in support of those fighting brain cancer. And if you forget to wear the color of the day, you can still purchase ribbons at the AP office for $1. And on Wednesday, we're going to wear gold for childhood cancer. On Thursday, we're going to wear orange in support of Aiden's Army. Aiden is the son of Mrs. Williams, who is the second grade teacher at Goodfield, and he is currently fighting leukemia. So make sure to wear orange to show support for their family. And then lastly, on Friday, wear green in support of those fighting lymphoma, kidney, and bladder cancers. And I have one last round of applause for all our models.
Okay, so as you know, our Fight for Life events have already started. So we had donkey basketball at the end of February, and that was a lot of fun. We'd like to thank Maria Cottrell and Mr. Peter and all of the ACT and FFA members for helping put that together. We also had the Daddy Daughter Dance, which is an event for elementary kids, kindergarten through 4th grade. The girls get to go and have a fun time with their dads. And then we also had a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and we'd like to shout out to Meredith and Mrs. Bain for helping put that together. And a congratulations to the winning team on a well-played tournament. We also had the quarter auction at the beginning of March, and that was a lot of fun. We had a big turnout, so thank you to everyone that came to that. We also had game night last Friday, which turned out really well too. Thank you for coming. And Footloose was just last night, and I heard it was a really great performance, and we had $19 donated per ticket bought, so that was really awesome. So if you participated in one of these events, thank you so much, because you guys are one of the million. You made this fundraiser what it is.
Okay, so the events we've done so far have been really good, and so we kind of want to keep that going. So tonight we have movie night, and we are watching Incredibles 2 at the middle school, and you should all go, because I know you all love Incredibles, so how can you not? And then there's also a dress-up contest, so if you guys dress up like a superhero and you have the best costume, you could win a $25 gift card to Amazon, and that's always nice. And then Kona Ice will be there. And then tomorrow, we have the volleyball tournament, and so if you guys want to watch middle schoolers, high schoolers, adults, and teachers compete against one another, that's a great event to go to, and it's super fun to watch. And then over the summer, we have the 5K, 1 mile, and color run, and then we also have the golf outing, so you guys should come out and support those events as well.
Our first speaker for today is Amy Jones, and Amy Jones was diagnosed with cancer about 30 years ago. She's had 2.5 years of treatment, and then she relapsed about 1.5 years later and had another 2.5 years of chemotherapy. Amy started running for St. Jude 2 years after that and has been trying to get back ever since. She lives in Morton with her husband, who has been running for St. Jude. They have an 11-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter. Amy serves on the St. Jude Runs Board and is a St. Jude Memphis 2 Peoria runner. So without further ado, Amy Jones.
Thank you guys so much for having us out here. It sounds like you have had some great events and some lots of fun coming up this next week and even into the summer. So thank you guys so much for what you do. Just the quote that you are one of the million. It does. It takes each and every one of you to make sure that St. Jude is possible. Without St. Jude and without all that you do, children would be dying. And I am one of those kids. Well, I'm not a kid anymore, but I'll tell you a little bit about my story and how I became involved with St. Jude. In 6th grade, I was not feeling very well. I just had blah feeling, you know, kind of like the flu. And I had that for a couple of days, turned into a couple of weeks, turned into the better part of a month or so. And finally my mom said, you know, this is ridiculous. There's something more going on than just the flu or allergies or something. We need to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor, just kind of had routine blood work because, I mean, I was a 10-year-old kid. Of course nothing was wrong with me, right? So the doctor sent me home, just get some rest, feel better, no big deal. Well, that night at about 11 o'clock, my mom woke me up because she had just gotten a call from our doctor, because he had just gotten a call from the lab and said, this patient is critically ill. Get her to the hospital immediately. So my mom rushed us to the hospital and like whisked us in, and all of a sudden the next thing I know, I'm in a hospital room and adults are coming in and I'm getting poked and prodded, and I'm thinking these adults are crazy. Like, they need to just calm down a little bit. And about an hour or so later, my doctor walks in. And I just remember it was about 1:30 in the morning, and I was worried about my spelling test the next day, because I mean, like, I was horrible at spelling, and how could I do well if I couldn't spell anyway? And here I'm up all night, and these adults are freaking out, and they just need to let me get back to my life. And the doctor walks in and climbs up on the bed and says, well, we figured out what's going on. We figured out what's wrong. You have something called leukemia, which is cancer of the blood. Well, at 10 years old, I had heard of cancer before, but it was the old men at church, and they had all died. So in the matter of a minute, I went from worrying about spelling to worrying about whether or not I was going to live or die. And I remember looking over at my mom and asking her that very question, and with tears in her eyes, she said, I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. So think about this. How many of you have plans for tonight? How many of you know what you're going to do tomorrow? How many of you have plans for next week? Imagine one word changing all of those plans. One word wipes all that away. One word, cancer, taking all of those plans and saying, sorry, I have no idea whether you're going to be able to live tomorrow, live next week, live next month, live next year. One word, taking all of that away in an instant. So for the next 2.5 years, I went through chemotherapy and treatment, and that's all my plans were. Chemotherapy, treatment, getting sick, not feeling well for 2.5 years. But just in time to start high school, I went off of my treatment and I thought, yes, finally, I'm going to be a normal kid. I'm going to be able to do all those things. I'm going to be able to have those plans. I'm going to be able to do everything that I want to do. And I was for about 1.5 years, till December of my sophomore year. Where's my sophomores? December of my sophomore year, I started to get that feeling that I don't feel so well feeling. And I kept putting it off. It's nothing. It's just the flu. It's just a virus. It's just a bug. And I kept putting it off and putting it off. But it ended up being a relapse. So, despite the fact that I'd gone through 2.5 years of treatment and been sick and had to deal with all of that, I now had to go through it again. And I was scared, and I was mad, and I was frustrated, and I was worried. But I knew that St. Jude was there. So I went through another 2.5 years of treatment. But this time, because it was a relapse, the medicine was about 5 times stronger, which meant I was 5 times sicker. So instead of just losing my hair this time, I lost all my muscle. I had to relearn how to walk. Can you imagine being 16 years old and not being able to go up steps by yourself? It's pretty hard. But despite all of it, St. Jude never gave up on me. So I knew I could never give up. I kept going and kept going, and St. Jude kept fighting, so I kept fighting. And despite all of it, I was able to start making plans. I was able to start saying, I think I might be able to go to college someday. I think I might be able to get a job someday. because of St. Jude, because of people working tirelessly to raise money for St. Jude, like all of you, I was able to go off treatment. I was able to make those plans. I was able to go to college, to grow up, to become a wife, to become a teacher, to become all of these things that I once thought were completely taken away from me. So where cancer takes it away, St. Jude gives it back. And you guys are a part of that. You are a part of the miracles that St. Jude is doing every single day. You saw the video of Danny Thomas's dream of St. Jude. There's a quote by Danny Thomas that says, "A dream is one thing, but a realization is something completely different." Well, St. Jude was Danny's dream, but St. Jude is your realization. You are the ones who are making it possible. When those doors first opened, kids with ALL, the most common form of childhood cancer, like what I had, were surviving at 4%. So 4% would be roughly, if I can have you stand up, through to about, you guys can stand up. So when St. Jude first opened its doors, if you were all St. Jude patients, these guys would be living, the rest of you would be dead. No future plans for you. Today, because of what you guys are doing, because of what you are allowing St. Jude to do, everybody else can stand up. You guys see us sitting, everybody else stand up. Today, if you were all St. Jude patients, you guys would be the survivors. You are changing the odds. You are saving lives. That is not possible without St. Jude, and St. Jude is not possible without you. So when you're having fun this next week, when you're dressing up, when you're doing all your tournaments, all of that, just know that while you're having fun, you are also saving lives. You are making the impossible happen. You are turning a dream into a realization. And for that, I am incredibly grateful, because I wouldn't be here without it. So thank you guys so much for everything that you're doing, and keep up the great work.
She grew up in Central Illinois, and she graduated from U of I, then from Midwestern University's Physician Assistant Program. She then practiced medicine at Union Point Methodist, and she relocated to Memphis, Tennessee to work for St. Jude's Research Hospital. She and her husband both went to St. Jude, and they recently moved back to Eureka. She is a wife, a mother, a proud cancer survivor who continues to support St. Jude through her role on the St. Jude Runs Board and at St. Jude Miss Memphis Peoria Runner. My name's Dawn, Dana, like she said, and first of all, I just want to say thank you. I am so excited to be here today. So like she just said, we just moved back here from Memphis, and now we live here in Eureka. And just hearing about all of the awesome things that y'all do is amazing. Like the fundraisers that you do and your passion for St. Jude is really special. So thank you for letting me come talk to you today and tell you about why I love St. Jude. So my St. Jude story is a lot like Amy's. I was in 4th grade actually when I was diagnosed with leukemia. So I'd been sick for a while, and it was one of those things where kind of went on, and finally I wasn't getting better. Went to the doctor, ended up having to go to an emergency department, and they did a bunch of tests, and they found out that I had leukemia. So leukemia is a cancer in your blood. It's a hematologic malignancy where basically the early parts of your infection-fighting cells take over. And it's a pretty serious illness because it happens really fast, and all those cells that shouldn't be there take over, and they can cause all of your organs to shut down, and they can kill you pretty quickly. So acute lymphoblastic leukemia is what I had, and it's something that they had to start treating right away. So I was lucky that I lived here in Central Illinois, and so we got hooked up with the St. Jude affiliate here in Peoria,
right away they sent my family and myself down to Memphis so I could start treatment. So I was in the hospital for a couple months, which is hard because you're away from your family. We didn't have cell phones back then, so we didn't chat or talk to anybody. So we're kind of cut off from everybody. And I started chemo and got really sick, lost my hair, was very nauseous and throwing up all the time, and you get pretty sick. But the good news is that the chemotherapy that they use to treat the cancer in your blood starts working pretty quick. So the St. Jude doctors have done a lot of research and they've found different chemos that work, and they kind of hit you really hard, really fast. But luckily, after a couple months, my cancer went away. So the doctors have done a lot of studies over the years, and they found that this particular type of cancer, you have to do a 2.5-year protocol. So just like Amy, I was in the hospital a lot, got a lot of chemo, got sick a lot because chemo wipes out the good infection-fighting cells with the bad, so you aren't able to fight off infection. But it took about 2.5 years, and after that time, things started to get a little bit better. I could go back to school, and I finally finished therapy, which was pretty great. So I was off therapy about 10 months when my cancer came back. And the second time was a lot harder. Like Amy said, when you relapse, your chemo has to be a lot stronger, and in my case, it just really didn't work. So I got pretty sick pretty fast and was in our hospital for a long time, ended up in our ICU, I couldn't walk. I think things just took a toll on my body, and it was a lot harder to treat. And there was a point when the doctors didn't really know what to do. But at St. Jude, they don't give up on you. So they said, we're going to come up with something, and at that time, what their idea was, something was new at that time, called a bone marrow transplant. So the doctors looked, the tricky thing about a bone marrow transplant is that the certain part of your blood has a lot of little things that have to match exactly with your donor. So it's kind of hard to find somebody that has the exact same little parts of their blood as yours. But I was really lucky, and my youngest brother was a perfect bone marrow match. So after I got some more chemo, and I received bone marrow from my youngest brother, who was my donor, and it helped to keep the cancer away for good, which is pretty amazing. So I've been cancer-free since my bone marrow transplant, and that's all thanks to St. Jude. I was able to go back to school, I was able to grow up, I graduated high school, I went to college and then a medical school, I did a PA program, and working, I always wanted to go back and work at St. Jude. So the doctors and nurses there are just really amazing. They have a really great team that does a really great job, so it was something that I wanted to do. So 5 years ago, we went back and worked at St. Jude. I got to work with a lot of the doctors and some of the nurses and PAs actually that had taken care of me, which is really cool. So it's been about 20 years, and it's pretty amazing actually, over those last 20 years what St. Jude has been able to do. So they've made therapies better. The treatment protocol that I was on was called Total 12 when I was there treating patients. We were treating patients on Total 17. So that means that many protocols between mine and theirs have all gotten better at making the cancer go away, having less long-term side effects, and doing a good job keeping the cancer away. When I worked on our bone marrow transplant service, we are doing special kinds of transplants now instead of just matches from your brother or sister. They can now do different matches from parents, which is pretty amazing for those patients that really don't have any other options. So St. Jude takes the hardest patients and they come up with something that's going to work for them, and they never give up, which is pretty cool. But we still lose patients. I think in the years that I was there, I had a lot of patients that we lost. And they're fighting hard, but no children should die from cancer, right? So I think that's what is so important about what all of y'all are doing here. And all of the fundraisers that you're doing, all of the things that you've already done, and all the things that you have coming up this week, every one of you really does make a difference. All of, whether it's bringing pennies for Coin Wars, or whether it's, all of the other fundraisers that you guys are doing, it really does make a difference. They have an entire building at St. Jude, a couple buildings, that are dedicated to just doing research to come up with a better treatment, because we shouldn't lose any children. And they work hard, they work all hours of the day, and that's funded and possible because of all the pennies that you guys bring in, and all the dollars that you raise, and all the fundraising that you do to make it possible. So you guys really have made a big difference in my life, and you have made a big difference in all the St. Jude patients' lives. It means a lot to us, and we encourage you to keep up the hard work and keep fighting, because I think everything that you guys do is really special and it makes a difference to all of us. So thank you guys.
I've always seen the commercials for St. Jude, so I've always wanted to be involved. I have been a cheerleader since freshman year, and we have a thing called Team Up for St. Jude. Team Up for St. Jude! Where we have a football game, and all of the money raised goes straight to St. Jude. Monroe and I dated for a year, and one day we were sitting outside on the swing, and I was like, you know, one day I would love to go to St. Jude and, you know, volunteer and just make a patient smile. Little did I know, a few months later, my boyfriend would be diagnosed. So I got what I wanted, but not the way I expected it to be.
I played football and baseball. I'm pretty sure I was leading the team in tackles for football that year. I know the last game I played was definitely the best one that I've ever played. That weekend, the whole weekend, I was laying in my bed. I couldn't get out of bed. I was so tired.
We made an appointment to take him to the pediatrician Tuesday morning. By 6 p.m., his pediatrician called me, and she said, I need for you to take Monroe straight to the ER. When he was first diagnosed, my husband and I, after a few minutes, fell apart.
When the doctor first told me that I had leukemia, I laughed because I didn't think it could happen to me. My liver was so backed up I couldn't actually receive chemo for a few weeks, and then I had a fungus in my lung that flared up, and I had to get the top half of my left lung cut out, and that delayed chemo for another week or so. So I missed my whole sophomore year, which was tough.
That's where I started fundraising, and just every day I woke up and I was like, St. Jude, went to sleep, St. Jude. Everything was St. Jude.
She has been a godsend. Every step of the way, she was there for me.
I would make surprise visits on school days. On the weekends, I would come up after I cheered at the football games.
When she walked through the door, he just lit up.
We call her Nightingale.
We just tried to do anything to get our minds off of things. We were able to attend the St. Jude formal 2 years in a row. At St. Jude, it meant more than a prom at home because they went above and beyond to make sure that the patients were happy and had the best day of their life.
Oh, we love to see you every day, but now's the time we get to say, pack up your bags, get out the door, you don't get chemo anymore. Woo!
I truly don't believe that any other place on earth could have made me feel as safe or as comfortable as I am here.
This is a huge milestone. St. Jude is such a part of his life.
I initially imagined myself maybe playing college football somewhere. Now I am achieving more academic goals.
One of his former teachers said that experiencing this with Monroe and helping him through this, we have all become better people.
I will forever support St. Jude and fundraise for them because what they've done for Monroe, I can never repay them. And St. Jude is the reason that he's going to get to go and live a full life from here on out.
So our last and final speaker is Chief Mike McCoy, and he's a very big deal if you guys don't know who he is. So currently he is the Chief of Washington, of Police of Washington, and throughout his life he has been passionate in helping St. Jude in everything that he does. So he's earned many volunteer awards through working at St. Jude, and his proudest involvement is he started the St. Jude Memphis to Peoria run, which he founded in 1982 and now involves 36 other cities and approximately 3,200 runners. So we want to thank Mr. McCoy for coming and taking time out of his busy schedule to speak to us today.
Number one, I am not a big deal in this gymnasium. You are the big deals. You know, I'm lucky enough to be one of 40 guys and ladies in the world that get to serve on the St. Jude Board of Directors and Members. So I go to Memphis about 13 times a year, and so I'm lucky enough to see what happens, what effect the money that people raise has on the success rate, the number of people that come back. You know, the Eureka community and what you do helps Peoria become the #1 region in the country for raising money for St. Jude per capita. Everywhere in the world, this region raises more money per capita for St. Jude because of things like what you're doing. So it might not seem like a big deal. It is a big deal. It's huge what you're doing. To devote a week, what your teachers do, what the administrators allow you to do here, and all their help. We thank them for that. It wouldn't happen without them. But let me tell you a couple other things. So Amy Jones and Dawn Tanner come up and they talk. What they don't tell you is that this will be Dawn's 12th year as a St. Jude Memphis to Peoria runner. It's only 465 miles in 4 days. And Amy Jones, this will be her 22nd year. And why is that important? The first time I went to St. Jude, it was like the picture you saw in the Danny Thomas video. It was just a small little building, except it had a 7-story building behind it. And on the tour the first day, there was a doctor named Gary Dahl. He was the #2 doctor at St. Jude. And as we was going through the tour, I said, Gary, how long will it be before your research gets to the point where a former patient can run the Memphis to Peoria run? And he looked at me and says, Mike, it's simple. You'll never see it in your lifetime. It won't happen. There's not enough money. There's not enough scientists. Well, guess what? There's 22 years. 22 years. 12 years. Former patients. Amy relapsed twice. Dawn, bone marrow transplant. They shouldn't be here. They shouldn't be here. They're here because of St. Jude. That's the only reason they're here. You're not immune. You got brothers and sisters that aren't immune. So you take say you take an average serious case of cancer, $1 million worth of treatment. If your parents have 80-20, that's only $200,000 to your family that you have to come up with. I don't know how many of you got $200,000 sitting around. I certainly don't. But if you go to St. Jude, that's a zero. And is that important? The money important? The money's important, but I'll tell you what's more important. The #1 children's cancer research and treating hospital in the world. Well, you heard Dawn and Amy talk. 4% is now 80%. We're working hard to get it to 100%. That's what you guys are helping out with. You know, $63,000 last year, that's a big deal. That is a real big deal. There aren't very many fundraisers in this region that make $63,000. And what you do has an impact on so many people's lives. So many people's lives. So I applaud what you do. You know, sometimes it seems hokey to dress up. Sometimes it seems hokey to bring your pennies and quarters and dimes in and put in boxes and pots. Sometimes it seems hokey to just dress up as like the Eureka guy today, run around to all the grade school kids and they loved him. But you know what? What you're doing is the right thing. The right thing. Because of your efforts, kids are going to live. Because if nobody did it before, Amy and Dawn wouldn't be here. It's important. So, on behalf of the parents, the patients, the staff, all of us at St. Jude, I applaud you guys at Eureka High School. You're leaders in the country. Remember that. You're leaders in the country for what you're doing. And thank you very much.
To help us all believe in the possibilities.
interesting little fact, that little guy on the video, his name is Brennan, and Dawn was one of his nurses for those bone marrow transplants. And it is unheard of that someone's able to survive and make it through 4 bone marrow transplants. So that's just testament to the fact that the work that is done at St. Jude is world renowned. It's pretty amazing. She said that he's currently 14 or 15 years old, so he'd be a freshman, sophomore right now. So if you're a freshman or a sophomore, think about spending that much of your life going through those medical treatments. We have one more video, and it's from Mrs. Williams. A lot of you know that Mrs. Williams is a Goodfield grade school teacher. She teaches 2nd grade. Her son is currently in the middle of his, or starting his 2nd year of treatment for leukemia. So she recorded this just for you guys today.
Strong mind, strong body, strong Aiden. I'd like to introduce you to my best friend and the strongest boy I know, Aiden.
All right, say hi, boys.
Hi.
Introduce yourselves.
You want to go first? My name's Maya. My name's Aiden.
Okay, and Aiden is a patient at St. Jude.
I got diagnosed with T-cell leukemia. And Aiden had cancer.
That's right. And so Aiden got diagnosed with T-cell leukemia on February 20th, 2018. And we were at the hospital a long time until they could figure out what it was.
First they just saw something was wrong with my liver.
Right?
They said I could go back to school. That was at Chicago. Say hi, Peter. And then we just went to our hospital near Peoria just to make sure. And they said, that's not it. Your liver is fine. You get T-cell liver, but you got T-cell leukemia.
That's right. And so we came back and we became a family of St. Jude, right? And
Aiden is our warrior. He fights his battle every single day, and he just always has a smile on his face.
All right, Aiden, why do you love St. Jude so much?
Because I met a lot of nice nurses, like Angie, Tanya, Sarah, Morgan,
a different one.
Well, there's a lot of people.
What do the nurses do that make you like them so much?
They're just all really nice. Like, if I don't have something to do there, or I just don't want to be on my iPad, I can ask them if one of them has like some free time that like they can play with me or something like that.
Good. Why do we love St. Jude so much, like as a family?
Because they support you a lot, and there's a lot of fundraisers for St. Jude. And if you don't have enough money to pay for all the bills, St. Jude will help you with it.
That's right. We love St. Jude because they help us pay for our medical expenses, and we don't have to worry about it.
This is Aiden's favorite nurse, Angie. We love her so much.
All right, we've added one more to the group. That's Q. Say hi, Q. Say hi. Hi. Good job. Hi. All right. Hey, Aiden, this week, all my school district is raising money for St. Jude. And the kids get to bring in their own money, the parents bring in money. What can you say to these kids who are raising money this week?
Thank you for all your support for St. Jude, and the sooner they find a cure, if someone else gets a diagnosis, they might have found a cure already, and then it'll just be a piece of cake.
Right.
Or what my mom calls it, you aren't fine a couple seconds.
And because of St. Jude, Aiden gets to play soccer again. He gets to wear a funny unicorn towel on his head. He gets to go to birthday parties and hang out with his friends. He gets to drag donuts in his dune buggy in our yard. He gets to be a 2nd grader at Lincoln Grade School. He gets to climb rock walls, read his favorite books, and go to his dad's wrestling meets. And then he just gets to shock us with his unbelievable strength and perseverance. He seriously is amazing. Plus, I get more time with him to be silly. And more time for him just to be an 8-year-old boy. Like riding his bike on dirt ramps and scaring his mama. Plus, the most important thing, spending more time with his brothers, being a big brother to Quentin and Miles. Please donate to St. Jude and help our boy. And please remember to keep Aiden in your prayers and help all the children of St. Jude.
So you saw a lot of faces of St. Jude patients today. You have the chance to make a difference in their lives just by participating and buying Uncle Bob's ice cream. Who doesn't love Uncle Bob's ice cream? We've got 5 different flavors for you. We've got baked goods. You can come watch a movie tonight. So there's a million ways that you guys can be one of a million. I would like to thank Mrs. Brace, my student council, my executive board for making all of this happen. And I would like to thank my St. Jude rep, Gina, for arranging our speakers for the day. We drove Don and Amy and Chief McCoy and Gina all over District 140. I went to all the different schools. And I tell you what, the younger kids in our district are pumped up. And you guys need to lead the way. So let's see what the high school can do, and I'm going to see you back here in about a week and a half, the week after spring break for a reveal assembly. And I really, really hope that I can announce a bigger number than $63,000. Thank you, and why don't you guys bring it next week?